Hello fellow Simmers, this is Julian from over at secretsimsociety.net, and today we're going to be working on sim photography or cinematography. So before we get started, I'm going to help you set up your settings so that way you can put out the best quality of work. So without further ado, we're going to go into the game settings and then go into options. Now, I'm going to try to explain to you why it's all set up the way that it is, so that way you better understand what's going on. It's easy for me to just tell you settings, but it's a lot easier for you to understand them as we're going along, so that way if you need to make changes, you're making educated changes. The first thing that you notice is that my enable full screen mode is on. I put that on because you want to make sure that you have no hindrance moving around your screen during the photo shoot. When you put it in window mode, you have to make adjustments to that, and it's a lot easier for you to not have to deal with those adjustments if the full screen mode is on. The next thing is your screen size, aka your screen resolution. Because I have a square monitor, mine is set at the setting that it is. If you have a wide screen, you want to try to keep it at about this resolution. If you have a better graphics card, I would suggest that you put the resolution a little bit higher, but if you don't, just make sure that you keep it at a decent medium between good graphics and good performance. The next thing that you notice is that the enable advanced rendering is on. The reason that is that helps with the textures and the shading and the shadows that you're going to be using, and it makes everything better quality. We're going to go over here to reflection quality. It's on mirrors only because we're going to be doing shoots in a studio setting, but if you're doing shoots in a landscape setting or you're doing shoots with your sim by water, I would suggest that you put that on high, but because of the way that we're shooting, I put it on mirrors only. The next thing is edge smoothing. That's on high. Edge smoothing controls the jaggedness of the textures in the game itself. So if you put that on low, you notice that the textures have more blocky, it's a more blocky situation. On high, it smooths it out, so that way you don't have to worry about that during post-production. The next thing is visual effects. We don't need visual effects because we're not going to be playing the game, we're going to be taking shots. And the visual effects usually is more or less for when your sim is doing an action or you're doing something that has effects in the game. The next thing is lighting and shadows. It is photography, and lighting and shadows play a big part in it, so you want to keep that on high. Tree details. The only reason that you would put your tree details anything but low or medium is if you're taking landscape shots or shots of your sim around town or anywhere that you would have trees in the background. Other than that, I would suggest that you keep it on low. Next thing we're going to go into is the draw distance. I either keep this on medium or high. The draw distance, it controls how far zoomed out you can be. I keep mine on medium or high, so that way if I need to zoom out to see a better angle, I have all of that under my control, and I'm not hindered by just being able to zoom out a little bit. The next thing is high detail lots. Same thing, high detail lots. It goes for the same thing that I said with the tree details. You only want that up if you're taking landscape shots or shots of your sim in a town setting or around town. The next thing is texture detail. Texture detail is more of making sure you're getting the best quality look of all the textures. The whole game is based on textures, so you want to make sure that that's on high so you're not being hindered later on, and it helps with you not having to deal with a lot of post-production on the textures. Same thing goes for the sim detail. You want to keep that on very high. You're going to be taking shots of sims, and you don't want them to be jagged or very cartoony. You want to try to keep it as virtually clean as possible, because it saves a lot of work during post-production. That's it for the graphic settings. The next thing that we want to go over to is the video capture tab, and we want to make sure that the capture user interface is on high. What that does is it helps with you not capturing the game UI when you're taking pictures. Alright, after that we're going to go over to the game options tab, and we want to make sure that the sim free will is completely off. We do that so that way the sim is not moving around while we're in the middle of taking pictures. That's the last thing that you really want, is your sim having to go to use the bathroom in the middle of a shoot, or your sim needing to go and eat or throwing a tantrum because they will do that. It's happened. There's been many times where I won't turn it off and I'll leave it on free will high, and they'll just run off in the middle of a shoot. Same thing goes for if you're shooting with pets. You want to make sure that that's off. The rest of this is only for gameplay. You don't really want to worry about all of that, so we don't have to get into all of that. That's the end of this video. In the next video we'll be going further into the in-game situation. We'll be going into the cheats that you need to use, how to build your photo studio, and using Pose Player. So that's it for right now. I'll see you on the next video. Have fun and happy simming.